How was your time at IIM Ahmedabad?
I think that's the best thing, the bonding which you make in the campus, and obviously the professors, and they're just God. I still feel the IIM professors are God.
How do IIM Ahmedabad alumni define success at this particular stage?
I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would crack UPSC, doing a job, working in the first attempt itself.
So if given a choice, would you again follow the same career path, MBA then UPSC?
Difficulty level of UPSC was more, but getting into IIM Ahmedabad was the tougher.
Corporate life, a lot of people complain about work life. How is a work life for an IPS officer?
People do think that the life of IAS officers is very glamorous. I would say it is not the case. Getting into IIM Ahmedabad or not getting into IIM Ahmedabad, or per se any IIMs, is not the end of the world.
Getting into IIM Ahmedabad is difficult, cracking UPSC is difficult, and today we have a special guest on the podcast who has cracked IIM Ahmedabad, worked in corporate, and then switched to civil services to do more impactful work. In this podcast, we discuss about his life at IIM Ahmedabad, his life as an IPS officer, and how he made his career decisions. So this podcast will be really useful, especially if you're young navigating your career decisions. So do watch this till the end. Thank you, sir, for taking out time for this. I think it's going to be a very, very insightful session for the audience, because I usually make content around MBA, CAT preparation, and CAT exam, then UPSC, IIM Ahmedabad, then IPS officer, two of the toughest competitive examinations probably in India to crack, and you have cracked both of them. So I think it's going to be a very, very insightful session for the audience. Thank you for taking out time for this.
Thanks so much, Anant, for having you here. First of all, because it's so nice to have you here, because you happen to be my junior from my college. So it's always very nice to get in touch with, fellow IIM Ahmedabad alum. And thanks for making it today. So welcome.
Thank you so much. And it's great to hear from our seniors as well. You get to learn a lot about people who have been there ahead in life, like 10 years ahead of you. So it will be a great learning session for me as well.
Thanks a lot.
So talking about IIM Ahmedabad itself, let's start with IIM Ahmedabad itself. How was your time at IIM Ahmedabad?
It was an exciting and never forgetting ride, I would say, of 2 years. And initially, when I got into IIM Ahmedabad, starting 3 months, I think the same rigorous routine follows for everyone. Probably you also had that. So, at that time, you really cringe and think that, why did I come here? I was good. In whatever else I was doing. But then later you realize that as as a second year comes, you get a bit relaxed probably. And over the process of 2 years, you make a lot of friends with whom you are still in touch. And I think that's the best thing, the bonding which you make in the campus, and obviously the professors, and they are just God. I still feel the IIM professors are God. So, it was an exciting experience, and I don't know, given opportunity, I would like to, go again and be in the campus.
Okay, so are you still in touch with your batchmates?
Yeah, I'm still in touch with my batchmates. Not all of them, but definitely. Yesterday I got a call from one of the batchmates. He's in Nagpur, so we had we talk. The span of getting in touch, probably, say I talk with one of my friends, with my batchmates. Say I'll talk to them once in 3 months, but whenever I talk for an hour. You understand?
Okay.
And most of the time, we used to do this, and how times have changed, and how given an opportunity we'll go back and do this. So most of the conversations revolve around the campus.
Oh, nice. And like 10 years after, almost 10 plus years, almost 14 years, I guess, after IIM Ahmedabad. So at this stage, how do IIM Ahmedabad alumni define success at this particular stage? You and your batchmates, how do you define success?
To be very, very honest, Anant, I'll be extremely honest. I think I'm a naive to define success, because success for me at different points in my life have been was at a different yardstick. So at this point in time, I would define success as if you are happy or content in whatever you're doing. I would say that person is successful in whatever he or she is doing. If someone is happy, it's very important in today's roller coaster life, that one needs to be content and happy in whatever thing he or she is doing. So I would define success in that, because I see lot many people who are very who I would say would be successful in the definition of others.
Yeah.
But internally they're very sad or unhappy. So I would not define that as a success. So I'd say someone who is happy doing whatever he or she is passionate about, I would consider that person a successful.
Got it. Because mostly during the initial stages after IIM Ahmedabad, once you are in the campus especially, success mostly was around placements, and I think it was
yes.
the same for you as well.
Oh yes, I mean, but I really remember a quote I would like to use of Professor Saral Mukherjee.
Yeah.
He was our placement coordinator. So he came and he just said, "Don't worry, placement happens just like shit happens in IIM Ahmedabad. So you don't need to worry. Think beyond it." And that point in time, probably we were very young, and as you say, you get into the IIMs for primarily because placement is definitely one of the factors. Right. So we could not understand, but over the period of time, that things, it echoed in my mind. So probably, yeah, that's right. I mean, success at that point in time was a different yardstick, but later, after probably I would say maturing enough over these years, it has definitely changed, Ananta.
Okay, and while you were there at IIM Ahmedabad, did you already think that, okay, you are going to get into civil services, IPS?
Not at all.
Okay.
Again, I would say that, the bunch of crazy friends, they're also responsible for where I am now, So why I would say that, why I would say that, because, I was in this corporate, and I had joined this Hinduja group with the Hinduja leadership program. So one or two of my friends, in fact, right from campus, after the placement and everything in the second year, they said, "Are, why don't you give the UPSC?" So I was like, "Why?" Because they thought that I don't know what did they see in me, but they thought, "Are, you should have given UPSC." I don't know whether they were making fun or I don't know. But later, I thought that, and during our time, and that was a time when the CSAT was introduced in UPSC.
Okay.
So CSAT is I would say a version, a lesser version than CAT, So, you have to study less probably for the prelims and everything. So, I just gave it a shot, and to be very, very honest, and in fact, many of my batchmates, they just knew I was giving the attempt, but they just instilled so much confidence in me that tera to ho jayega, you'll get through, man. And literally, I got through in my first attempt, which was totally unexpected. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would crack UPSC, doing a job, working in the first attempt itself. So yeah, that is how it happened, and I would probably, they're responsible. I don't know whether I'm doing good work or bad work, whatever. They're responsible for making me get into the services.
That's so inspiring. I'll get to this topic again, like when we come to the topic of UPSC again, because a lot of students are aspiring for UPSC as well, but they keep attempting as well, and it becomes sometimes difficult. So we'll come to the student aspect as well. But coming, this one last thing about IIM Ahmedabad. So what were the clubs, committees you were part of? Any particular interest you had at that time?
You see, I had a lot of interest, but then probably the second year I did not join any committees because I went for my exchange.
Okay.
So, you have this when you're going for exchange, most of the clubs are committee, it becomes difficult for you. But in the first year, I think I worked in the kiosk, the kiosk team, and also I did some running around, and it was fun, but nothing very serious. To be very, very honest, nothing very serious, because I realized. Let me give you an example. I realized someone told me. In fact, again, I quote one of my favorite professors, Professor Sriram, who taught us finance.
Yeah.
He said that, remember, grades and everything are just like punctuation marks. Only the 5% who are in the top at IIM Ahmedabad and the 5% who are in bottom in IIM Ahmedabad, they need to worry. Otherwise, you have this bell curve. 90% of you are in the bell curve.
Right.
So, I just followed this, and then I was like, let's take it a bit easy.
Right.
So, I still maintain that, that you don't need to worry too much when you're at IIM Ahmedabad. If you're in that 90%, only the top 5% and bottom 5% needs to worry. So, that is how it went. Otherwise, second year, I was very busy in the exchange process and all. So, 4.5 months we were away from the campus. But I think that was one of the best decisions of my life, because all of my group of friends, we were all in Europe, cruising across Europe, I would say. So, yeah.
In terms of experience as well, I believe.
Definitely. I went to Stockholm School of Economics.
Okay.
So it was an eye opener, because there I went and saw Stockholm School of Economics is one of the probably one of the best schools in Europe. So there I could feel that, the pedagogy at IIM Ahmedabad, the quality of students, the professors, I would rate IIM Ahmedabad far notches higher above than what I saw at Stockholm School of Economics.
Oh,
So all these were actually eye openers for me.
Okay, that's interesting. And just if given a choice, because now you're in a very different field, obviously,
Yeah.
compared to MBA.
Yeah.
So if given a choice, would you again follow the same career path, MBA then UPSC, or would you say?
I would. It's a very difficult question because many of the people who come into the services, they usually don't do an MBA.
Right.
The people who do an MBA are basically aberrations in the service. But yeah, given a choice, I would exactly do my MBA, and that too from IIM Ahmedabad, no other institute. I'm sorry for that, but then that's true.
No, perfectly fine. Even I would say the same to the
Yeah,
audience.
you would also say the same thing. in fact.
Obviously, it depends on the percentile and your marks, everything.
Exactly. It depends on the percentile. It depends on the mark. It does not mean that other MBA colleges are not good. But when I have been to the campus,
Right.
I've seen what life offers you for 2 years. Given a choice, I would do the same. In fact,
Right, and there's this bias as well.
Yeah, definitely. You
there.
can't you can't help that. So.
Yeah. And any particular skill from IIM Ahmedabad that is probably still helping you as an IPS as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the 11:59:59 gets into your muscle memory, So many of my colleagues, not colleagues, many of my subordinates who work with me, so I give the deadline, 6:59:59. So one of them asked me, "Sir, why don't you give it at 7 p.m.?" So it was I just smiled, and it was very difficult to explain it to him.
Right.
So I said, okay, yeah, 7 p.m., but it's 6:59:59.
Yeah.
Let's have it that way.
Right. Even for the audience, because just to explain to the audience, this 11:59:59 concept is if you have to submit an assignment by 12, the deadline is 11:59:59. If it's 12, you are late for the assignment. So that's basically the 11:59:59 concept at IIM Ahmedabad.
And even for the attending a lecture.
Right. 11:44:59.
Yes,
for
exactly.
8:45
Exactly.
lectures.
So if you are not a second ahead, you are
Yeah.
late for the class. And many a times you were told that you are too early for the next class.
Yeah. Even like just 1 minute into the class and you are
right.
too early for the next class. Okay, so coming to your career trajectory specifically on your corporate life. So obviously you have been through that journey as well, Capgemini before your MBA, then after that Hinduja leadership program. So how do you see that now? Like leaving that corporate life, probably lavish corporate life as well, because after IIM Ahmedabad you expect to have a great corporate trajectory, and then coming to becoming an IPS. Did you miss corporate life first of all?
To a sense, yes. When I see the Instagram photos of my friends, doing vacations and I don't know, all those exotic places. And so that time I really, I see them and there's always a sense of, I don't know, I
Missing out.
envy.
Yeah.
So that, you guys, you have been having an awesome time. But then, yes, honestly speaking, I think, see, for example, right now, just to put things into perspective, right now, say I'm a superintendent of police, the jurisdiction, say around 45 lakh people in this district, and I'm the superintendent of police who is responsible for a couple of, for the law and order and other aspects of policing. It's a huge challenge in itself. Probably none of the companies where I would have worked would have given me such challenges or such opportunities.
Right.
And there are definitely so much opportunities which are job such as this. I would not say a job; it's a service, in fact, which gives you. So yeah, when you see your friends, they're doing very well. I'm so happy for them. But in fact, the grass is always greener on the other side.
Right.
They keep telling me that what sort of impact you are doing in the field, and we are mostly into boardrooms, and
Right.
So I think it evens out. To be very honest, it's not a question that, because I keep telling myself that this is a conscious decision which I made to join the services. I knew what I was getting into. I knew that probably I wouldn't have that amount of time for myself or for my family as this particular profession demands. So yeah, it's a conscious decision which I've made. I was probably ready to sacrifice a lot of things.
Right. And it's great to hear this perspective from you, especially because When I was in a job, I used to think, okay, I'm doing this Excel, PowerPoint, no real impact. Then when I left my job as well, after that as well, when I talked to my batchmates, I still have that fear of missing out concept where I'm thinking, okay, they are doing great work. And to hear from you as well, who is making such real impact on ground. And then, okay, you also sometimes think about your friends.
Yeah.
So that's a really good perspective to hear.
Yeah, and Anant, while putting this, you just said excellent PowerPoint. To be very, very honest, I mean, I would like to tell everyone that MBA, is not just about giving gyan, or it's not
Yeah.
about globe, it's not
Yeah.
about fab, it's too much number crunching.
Right.
And I still miss those, my Excel skills, to be very, very honest. I think MC or management computing, which I think this is one of the best course which I am had.
Right.
And whatever Excel skills I've learned and I still apply in my day-to-day job has been because of IIM Ahmedabad.
Got it.
And Excel, working on the macros.
Yeah.
I think you also had the same thing. So
right.
I think that was a brilliant course at IIM Ahmedabad, one of the
Right.
best courses in IIM Ahmedabad,
Definitely.
which really helped us, and it still helps me.
Got it.
I'm not in the corporate, but given a choice, most of the times I try to do the reports
Right.
myself, or do some sort of number crunching, which really helps me. So
Right.
probably that is where this course has really helped me.
Okay. So in terms of IPS life, what do you think are the most satisfying and the frustrating parts of your job?
Oh, there are a lot of satisfying things and there are a lot of frustrating things. For example, you were sitting here, and one of the visitors had just,
Yeah.
I don't even know that visitor.
Right.
And I do have an open door policy. In fact, anyone can come and meet the superintendent of police, or can meet me if he or she has any problems or issues which I can solve. So, the satisfying thing in a day would be that, I don't even know that person.
Right.
He just knows, he or she doesn't know me as a person,
Right.
So if I'm able to provide that person instant relief, I think nothing better than that. So
Right.
that is the sort of satisfaction which I have in the day. And I will not talk about the frustrations. There are n number of frustrations, but I think IIM Ahmedabad also teaches you that, given if you are thrown in such a chaos, try to make some sense out of it, a method into the madness.
Right, got it. And I just happened to see, or by chance, I happened to see the open door policy, the way you approach the entire thing. So it was really, really nice of you. And to get that perspective as well, it was really nice for me. And coming to, again, corporate life, a lot of people complain about work life. How is a work life for an IPS officer?
Oh, okay. My wife always complains that there's no life for me. My work is my life. She always keeps telling me that your work is just a part of your life. It's not your life. But we can't help it. This is a 24/7 job. So we have to be on our toes. Most of the all the time, because any emergency, anything, I'm supposed. Apart from there's a hierarchy, but anything which demands my attention, I have to be in the spot and I go to the spot. So as such, it's a 24/7 job, but I try to take some time out for my son who is going so fast. It's probably all the police it's a perennial issue in the policing, that you get to spend very, very less time with your families. It is there. It is definitely there.
So
in corporate, I think you still get time. Probably you get
weekends
time.
off.
You can weekends off, but in policing, you might have a continuous days, and you might not even have the concept of weekends. It all depends on the kind of place where you're posted, or the kind of work which you are doing, in fact.
So we'll do a quick rapid fire, just
Sure.
3 questions. Which was a more difficult exam to crack, CAT or UPSC?
UPSC.
Which was more rigorous, life at IIM Ahmedabad or training as an IPS officer?
Training as an IPS officer.
And which one do you prefer more, corporate life or civil service life?
Civil services. But I would like to just point out one thing. Difficulty level of UPSC was more, but getting into IIM Ahmedabad was the tougher.
Got it. So, is it possible for you to talk about any specific challenging case or any project that you have worked as an IPS officer? Because in corporate, when I talk to obviously people in corporate mostly, so the kind of work that they do, the kind of projects they work on is like very different.
Okay, I'll talk about one or two of my projects which I did in Bardhaman, in my erstwhile district in Bardhaman, where I spent 2.5 years. We are trying to do something here also, but let's see, let it happen, and then we'll talk again. So in Bardhaman, I went to Bardhaman. Then it's a Bardhaman is a suburban town, but I'll talk about two initiatives. In fact, so one is when I went there. In fact, I was searching if there's some tennis court where to play tennis. So it came as a bit of surprise that it's a town and it doesn't even have a single tennis court where you can play tennis. So we had this free area. We have a free police school running in Bardhaman. So there was a place, and we made a tennis court, good tennis court into it, in that, and we thought of opening that to the public. So within a month, there were 52 kids, if I remember, and the subscription was very less. I mean, it was 300 per month, and so we had two coaches also, and and it was a completely no profit, no loss, and that 52 grew up to around say 75, 80, and we had batches, and we had to say no, that I'm sorry, we cannot admit more than that number of kids. So so that that started a culture of now it's a big thing now, in fact.
Right.
So my aim was that any kid playing there, he rises, goes to Kolkata later or any other place, and becomes a tennis star. That is one of the thought with which it was started. So giving the public an opportunity, that was the whole intent. This is the first thing. The second was in fact during the COVID. I mean, as you know, when the COVID had struck, there was a lot of community policing which was done by the police. We had provided many families, square meals a day, because during that time many wage earners, they could not afford, because they were not going out, they could not afford even square meal a day. So there's this particular village in Bardhaman. It's called Daryapur, which is where we found out, where we were supporting them, and they were like basically craftsmen. They were involved in making all those wax metal. It is called dokra artisans. So so we talked with them. I mean, after the COVID, and I talked with them. I got in touch with them, and understood that there are a lot of middlemen who are involved into it, and actually they earn very less. So that gave me gave us an idea that why don't we start a platform or a direct selling medium. So something called Mati Tan came into picture, and it's still running in any time you go to Bardhaman. So there you have the local artisans products which is being sold there, and the profits, not just the profits, there's just 2% probably establishment charge, and the rest of it, everything goes to the craftsmen. So that is one thing which is going on. So so these are all things which probably which I remember, and probably I remember, and here also we are trying something of that sort, apart from the normal policing, apart from the normal day-to-day work which we are doing, in fact. So let's see how it goes.
That's so inspiring to hear about all the initiatives and all the other things that you do apart from obviously day-to-day operations as well. And there was another thing I was reading on your LinkedIn profile, and that was you won the National Award for Best Electoral Practices for the innovative drone monitoring system.
Yeah.
So if that is as well, if you can just touch upon that.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. I mean, I was posted. This was during my first posting as SP in Barwipur, South 24 Parganas. So during the time, there were there were elections, and one particular assembly constituency called Goshaba. Basically, the Sundarban, in fact, that is under that jurisdiction. So there were 9 islands, and it was very difficult to monitor them continuously, because the movement across the islands, and in fact traveling from one island to another, it was very difficult. There we thought that why don't we experiment with the drones? I'm talking about, this is around 5 years back, 4.5 years back. So we thought that why don't we experiment with drones? So what we did is that we covered the entire, all the hotspots. We used 9 drones, and we had a number of power backups because obviously, at that point in time, in fact, the drone ecosystem was not as developed as it is now. So we had backups, and the drone monitoring captured, the entire, when we had the entire live footages as well as we had the saved footages. And the best thing was that, it was a big deterrent for all the, I would say, all the miscreants to do anything because they knew that they have been watched. So
Nice.
we were successful, and we did not have any incidents during the polling day. Also, it went on very smooth.
Great.
So yeah, that was thing done, and probably later next year also the FICCI Smart Policing Award was also given for this initiative.
Nice. And when you talk about such impactful projects, do you think if you had been in corporate, you would have been able to do it for so long? Because that's some real impact. Probably in corporate, you would have never been able to make such ground impact.
Yeah, I mean, probably, yeah. I think, yeah, that's true. That's true. That was one of the reasons, probably, which really propelled me to write the services, so that the impact can be at the ground level directly. Probably that's true. And corporate, probably, in it would have taken me many years,
Right.
to do such things and to create such an impact at a large scale.
Got
So
it.
yeah, that's probably true, Anant. Yeah.
Got it. And one more question. A lot of students who are aspiring to crack UPSC, become an IPS, IAS officer, anything. So what do you think is like one misconception that students should get out of their mind, probably while getting into civil services?
Okay, one is that please, you do not need to be Singham or whatever police character which comes into your mind. As for IPS, I would say you can actually, if you're a straight person, even if you do not have a such empowering personality, you can still be a good police officer, to be very, very honest. Because people see me, my batchmates, they see me now and they say, bhai, we can't even think that you are an IPS officer, because I was never a sort of a strict, serious kind of
Right.
person. But I think I would say I'm doing fairly okay, if not that great. So you do not have to have a straight-jacketed personality of A type or B type or C type to become a police officer, number one. Number two, which is very, very important, is that because of the prevalent Instagram and all those videos, people do think that the life of IPS officers or, in fact, IAS officers are very glamorous. I would say it is not the case, to be very honest. You get to live in Mufasil towns, or, I would say towns, or not lesser known cities, in fact, and it's a transferable job. So, there is a lot of issues regarding your education of your kids. There are a lot of issues which comes into, with it. So it is not as glamorous which it is made to be. So there are a lot of things which you have to sacrifice on a personal level if someone wants to get into service. But yes, work-wise, definitely you can create an impact, no doubt about it. If you have the will, if you have the courage, you can definitely create a lot of impact. And to be very, very honest, I would say to be a good policeman, all you need, policeman/policewoman, it's a gender neutral term which I'm using. To be a police officer, good police officer, all you need is courage. That's it. I mean, he or she can be tall, he can be short, fat, slim. Everything is immaterial.
Got it.
You just need to have the courage and the conviction to do what is right.
Got it. And that's like when your friends talk about you in that way, I think I would 100% agree, because now I just met you and the kind of humility that you carry. A lot of misconceptions and notions in my mind as well will go away after this conversation. For sure.
I think P for police and P for being polite. So it does go. We have to be strict and tough, but that does not mean that we have to be impolite or we have to misbehave just to show how strict or how firm we are. That's my way of thinking about it.
Got it. And coming to the question that I just left in the beginning, that is, you cracked CAT, then you cracked UPSC. So what advice would you give to students who want to get on a similar path?
Anand, first of all, I don't think so. I'm someone who can give advice. I can just give suggestions. And first suggestion for cracking CAT would be that uh, uh, read. As someone says, breathe. I would say read whatever you can, lay your hands on. Number one. Number two is the basic numerical skills. Do continue on that. And third is, if you're in a college, if you're an undergraduate, or you're still in school, I would say build a profile. Build a profile. By what I mean is that academics is good, but have some interest which which you follow passionately. So this is something for the CAT aspirants. UPSC aspirants, I would say that you do need to study hard, which you'll all be doing, but then keep your ears and eyes open. That's very important, because what usually happens is that you become so engrossed in whatever you're studying that you forget what is going in your in your periphery. And UPSC does have a very strange habit of picking those things, which goes around you. So I would say do keep your eyes and ears open also.
Got it. So you cracked UPSC in the first attempt, as you were telling me, but a lot of students, when they get into these competitive examinations, whether CAT or UPSC, a lot of them are not able to clear the exam. They attempt the exam again and again, and once they see they're not able to clear the exam multiple times, they see that as the end of the world. So any suggestions for them as well?
First of all, to be very, very honest, always have a plan B. I mean, see, IIM Ahmedabad, we both went to IIM Ahmedabad. IIM Ahmedabad, getting into IIM Ahmedabad or not getting into IIM Ahmedabad, or per se any IIMs, is not the end of the world. What these colleges do is that you get a good peer group, you get a good support, and this support is usually when you get into the corporate world. But once you get into the corporate world, it's all about, how hard you're working, how effective you're working. So anyone who gets into any other business school, I would say, they are doing fantastically well. I have many of my friends who are not IIM graduates, and they are doing fantastically well. In fact, better than some of the IIM grads, because it does. I would say the facade of greatness falls into the shoulders of many of the IIM grads, that we are the products of IIM, so we are always right. I think that's not true. Similarly, for UPSC, always have a plan B, because it's a very competitive exam. So if you do not crack the UPSC, what are you going to do next? Because both cracking UPSC or CAT is not the end of the world. For example, I don't want my child to, I don't ask him that you have to crack the UPSC or, the CAT or whatever he wants to do, he can do. And I think with the passing of time, there are so many avenues where people are doing brilliantly well. You do not have to be an IPS or IS officer to make a difference. There are so many people who have started their own NGOs, and they are doing so well at the grassroots level. I interact with them on a day-to-day basis. So I see them. They also wanted to create a difference. So there are many avenues apart from also the services. Similarly, same thing for CAT. How many entrepreneurs you would see who have passed out from IIM?
Right.
Very less, very few probably. So again, these are not the end of the world. These are just avenues which give you an opportunity to to probably get to the ladder. Climb the ladder faster. That's it.
So one last question. Despite all the challenges that you face in your day-to-day operations as an IPS officer, what is that thing that keeps you motivated every day to go out and work?
Oh, it's a very good question. It's on a very personal level, I would feel. My kid, I have a 8-year-old son. So my biggest motivation is my son. So he thinks that I'm into such a job that where I'm doing a lot good for the people, for the society and everything. He thinks that I'm making a lot of impact. So every day when I leave office, so he tells me to have a good day. So that's a big motivation for me to actually do something good for the day. It is very personal, but then, yeah, that's true.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking your time. I'm sure it's going to be a pretty insightful conversation, and for the audience especially, who are students want to get into probably IIMs or pursue a career in civil services, I'm sure they will be inspired a lot.
Thank you so much, Anant, for for taking some time out and coming here, and wishing you the very best.
Thank you